Damn.
My fault.
Well, glad you made it. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna call us to order here. Oh, shoot, that's good timing, wasn't it? This is July. This is the 19th, right? 2018 Code Board meeting is now called to order. We're going to proceed initially with a brief invocation and pledge allegiance. So let's do the invocation first. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunities we have in this beautiful part of your world to live and work and to serve you and to serve each other. And we pray that you would just help us to do our very, very best in that regard. We pray that your blessings on this country and the men and women that do so much to protect us and give us the way of life that we enjoy so much. We thank you for all that you do for us each and every day. Pray in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Already been informed there are no, I got to do the minutes. We've got one member present that was at the May 17th, or were you here at the May 17th meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we've got two. So have y'all had a chance to review and
Yes, they look good.
the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I need a second?
Second.
Oh, a second, I guess. We have a second, a motion and a second. So all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next item. You don't need to sign them. I think I'm the only one that needs to sign them. No announcements. We want to swear in any witnesses?
Did any witnesses, potential witnesses in the cases called tonight stand and include the code enforcement officers? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. All right, and I think we can move to the first case. Anna?
For the record, Anna Reichert, Code Enforcement Officer for Walton County. I'm submitting a final report and testimony regarding this case. This case is 17-0003382. Property owner is Linda G. Burns. Violation is a development order required prior to undertaking any development order. Specifically, violation was clearing a coastal dune lake protection zone without a permit.
Before you go any further,
Yes.
I don't know if I need to disclose this, but I am. But I am vice chairman of the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board also, and that is a very hot topic among the board nowadays. So I'm just letting anybody know that.
On the TDC.
No, Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board. The county is another county board.
Cindy, I don't feel there to be a conflict, do you?
I mean,
It's not
okay.
under the TDC, but it's the county.
Okay. Right here. Okay. Proceed, please.
All right. This is the parcel picture from the Walton County Property Appraiser's Office. It's parcel number 12-3 South-20-340-006-010. The land use on this parcel is residential preservation. On June 20th of 2017, a complaint was received regarding a lot located within the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone, and it was cleared without permits. On July 5th, 2017, I, Officer Reichert, conducted a site inspection and observed a violation of Section 11.00.01 development order required prior to undertaking any development activity, specifically the removal of natural dune vegetation without approval. On July 7th, a notice of violation was mailed to the property owner, Linda G. Burns, as listed on the Walton County Property Appraiser's website. On July 21st, 2017, Walton County Planning Manager Kristen Schell confirmed the property owner attended a less than minor restoration pre-application meeting. The property owner, it was determined, had until October 21st, 2017 to provide all the documents required for the restoration plan. December the 8th of 2017, January 4th of 2018, February the 6th, 2018, March 2nd, 2018, and May the 9th, 2018. I requested updates from the Planning Department, confirmed that the case remained open and was pending completion of restoration plan. On May the 9th, 2018, Aaron Craker, the environmental specialist, stated the property owner had not contacted or submitted any documents since September of 2017. Notice of hearing was sent via certified mail for June the 21st of 2018, which was then rescheduled for today, July 19th, 2018. An updated notice of hearing was sent via certified mail and delivered on June 25th, 2018. Final inspection. I guess that was the last slide. Final inspection as of today reveals the property owner has not submitted any of the required documents for the less than minor restoration plan, and the also landscape cloth has been installed throughout the property, preventing regrowth of natural vegetation. And in this slide, you can see the top two, the white looks like pieces of paper sticking out of the mulch there is all landscaping cloth, and it's preventing any regrowth of natural vegetation.
Which one is?
The top
Okay, top
left,
Okay, I see it.
and then the top right, you can barely see it there, but all the little white areas that you see there, it looks like trash. That's all white landscape cloth, and it's all over the property, basically end to end. Everywhere that I kind of scooted with my shoe, it was underneath the mulch. Findings. This is a lawfully constituted code enforcement proceeding convened pursuant to Chapter 162, Part 1, Florida Statutes, and Chapter 12, Walton County Land Development Code. The Code Board has jurisdiction over the subject matter and the respondent. Notice of this proceeding has been duly provided to the respondent as required by County Code. The respondent, Linda G. Burns, by reason of foregoing facts, is in violation of Section 11.00.001, I'm sorry, I can't say that, 11.00.01 of the County Code. The respondent is subject to the enforcement jurisdiction of the Board. It is my recommendation that the Code Enforcement Board determine that, 1, the address of 35 Blue Lake Road is located within the unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to Chapter 12 of the Walton County Land Development Code. Number 2, that proper notice of hearing was given to the respondent. 3, that a violation of the Walton County Land Development Code Section 11.00.01 does exist on the property. 4, that the respondent is to correct the violations within 20 days of the date of this order. The respondent is further ordered to contact Walton County Code Enforcement to arrange for reinspection of the subject property to verify compliance with this order. that if the respondent fails to comply with the above actions or fails to bring the property into compliance with the applicable codes, ordinances, and regulations according to this order, that the board assess a fine of $500 a day until the property is brought into compliance. My reason for the 20 days is it's been over a year. And
Said that.
yes, so,
Was that debris?
I'm sorry?
Was that debris I saw in one of the pictures of
Um,
timbers or logs?
What she had cut was approximately, see if I can get it back on here, more than 10 small oak trees that were 2 to 3 to 4 and 5 inches in diameter, and then she piled the cut up pieces. See if I can go back. I don't remember how we got backwards. But she piled the cut up debris along the wooden walkway, and then, wish I could, there it is.
Oh, manufacturer, she cleared it. Was that Draper Lake? I saw the bridge, or was it Draper Lake or Redfish Lake? Okay,
I
I
don't
couldn't
know,
tell for sure, but
honestly.
it looked like one of those bridges. I was just curious. Okay.
Along the walkway there is
Right.
where she piled all of the debris. There is a picture, yes, right there on the right, that is that bridge.
That's Redfish Lake.
Yes.
Okay, right.
And this is from the road, 30A, on the right-hand side.
Mhm.
You can clearly see the fresh mulch and the clearing of
Mhm.
all of the.
Have you ever had any contact with this lady?
She called our office twice, left messages. I don't believe yes, I spoke with her one time. And she told me that, and this was, I think about 2 months ago, she said that it all grown back, so she didn't see a problem. But again, my final inspections, you see it's not full. She's got that landscape
So-
cloth that's preventing any of that growth.
So Kristen, I mean, and those are just, what, gosh, 10 days?
The requirement is, if they have cleared it, they must do a restoration plan, and that involves,
And I heard you say that Kristen had approved the restoration plan and it had been delivered to her, and plenty of opportunity.
she came in for a pre-application meeting, and I'm not quite sure what that involves, but then after that, there was no contact.
Okay. All right. Any, come on in. Any other questions for Anna?
Would, you have to get a permit to cut down trees?
In the coastal dune lakes, and if I'm not mistaken, south of the bay,
Oak trees?
well, pretty much any trees.
Well, if in the coastal, doing like the protection zones, you're not supposed to cut. I think aren't they working on an ordinance to allow some minor kind of maintenance, but that hasn't passed yet as far as I know.
Correct.
But they're not supposed to do anything in the protection zone.
That's correct.
Mac, did you want to say something?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
The pre-application meeting that this property owner came in for is the meeting where we explain what the requirements to obtain a permit are, what the submittal requirements are, what the extent of the restoration in this particular case would be. It is not a permit. We've received no restoration plan, and that's the only cooperation we've had from this applicant. She came in and had a pre-application meeting to find out what she needed to do to correct the problem.
When did that happen?
That was, pre-application meeting was,
September.
let's say it was 2017.
Was that this year or that?
Last year. It has been almost a year
Right.
with no activity.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
July 21st, 2017 was the day of the pre-app.
All right.
I just have one quick comment. I believe Anna mentioned that she's gonna ask for $500 a day, but we were correct, that's $250.
I thought that was, yeah, I thought we had a 250 limit, so I wasn't gonna say. Sound a little, all right.
Backwards like this.
That was severity.
I was wondering if something might have changed in the last couple months, okay. Either way,
Are there other charges?
The work that she did is something that you cannot get a permit to do.
correct.
So
That was
it
my
has to be put back the way it was before she did the work.
Okay?
Public comment, any public comment?
Oh, I was gonna say, so I'm gonna, so, yeah, we don't have any other public to make comments, so I'm gonna close the public comment period, unless, right, all right, closing the public comment period. Does the board, have any, we wanna discuss open it to board discussion for a moment, or do we need to make
Need
a
to
motion first?
Make a motion first
All
and
right.
discuss.
If no other questions for Anna or anyone else, do want to entertain a motion from any of the board members?
I make a motion that we find this, respondent, applicant, or respondent, $250 a day.
You want to just accept her?
Accept your recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to find the respondent in violation and accept the proposed findings of fact and recommended penalties from Anna. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next case. Mr. Kirk, you gonna do this one? All right.
Good evening, Board. I'm Code Enforcement Officer Michael Lynch for the record. I've also submitted my final report for the record. This evening, first, I'll be presenting case number 18-001088. This will be involving the property of Mr. Donald Clower at 553 Majestic Boulevard. The land use for this property is rural residential. The violation that we're going to be discussing is going to be sections 05.07.08B, duty of maintenance of private property, and section 05.07.08C, exterior storage of non-operating vehicles, junk and debris of the Walton County Land Development Code. The property is situated in an unincorporated area of Walton County, north of Route 90, and it's in a rural area. I received a complaint of junk and debris on March 20th of this year and conducted an investigation, and this property was in pretty bad shape.
Did I hear you right? That's US 90? So
Yes, sir,
we're-
to the south
Okay.
of the parcel. The code section that we're looking at, again, is 5.07.08 B and C, duty of maintenance of private property, as well as exterior storage of non-operating vehicles, junk, and debris. The view on the left-hand side is from Majestic Boulevard, taken from the middle of the street. There were several vehicles, junk and debris scattered. There's a fence erected towards the front of the property that runs parallel to Majestic Boulevard. There was a boat out front, but just general clutter, smashed beer cans in front of the gate itself. there was on the left-hand side, I don't believe that car has moved since I first observed it March 20th. It is full of junk. The vehicle looks in disrepair. On the right is another view through the gate. And I know it's difficult to see, I didn't realize these were going to be that small. But if you see where the multi-shaped carpet is hanging over the gate, directly above that you can see a structure. I don't know whether it was once a house or a mobile home, but there's a dilapidated structure there that I feel also represents a threat to safety and health. If we ever had a bad storm, that is coming down, I have no doubt. Here's a slightly better picture on the left of the junk and dilapidated structure. On the inside of the fence, the filth on this property is it's really nauseating. I don't know how somebody can live in these conditions, but there's junk, appliances scattered throughout. There's also pens for animals, so depending on the day and the heat of the day, the smell is very noxious as well. On the right, there was a trailer full of junk. I believe that the resident of the property, who's a renter, is a scrapper. I don't know any other explanation for the condition of this property. But that trailer was on the outside of the fence along the road. Based upon my investigation of the property, and I felt the severity, I sent a notice of violation to the owner, Mr. Clower. On the left is the letter itself. On the right is the signed return receipt.
Is that the initial notice?
Yes, sir. That's the notice of violation.
And what's the date on that?
The date that I sent it was on March 20th. I got the signed receipt back on March 27th.
Okay.
Oops, I'm sorry. It went forward one too many. See if I can figure out how to go backwards on this. No, wrong way. Okay, here's where we were. And I'll note that from the initial inspection on March 20th, I had gone back on multiple occasions. Even though Mr. Clower is the property owner, he lives in Fort Walton Beach. So I had talked to Mr. Alford, who is the renter, and had suggested things to remedy the situation and try to bring the property into compliance. I suggested that he erect a fence or something that he could hide his clutter from view of the road and the public, and to bring all the items on the outside of the fence in, so that nobody else has to look at it. Since that time, he made an attempt to put up some sheeting, looked like corrugated metal, as a makeshift fence, but the property is still not in compliance. So I sent on June 20th, Mr. Clower, a notice of hearing for today's date.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
Just repeat the part of the name. You got the owner. That's
The owner
not.
is-
It's not on here. The owner's name is not on this one.
Clower.
Yeah, he's the owner.
I don't see it anyway.
Yeah, he's got quite a rep.
What's how you spell his name?
The last name is Cloer, Donald R. Clower.
Okay. And have you actually spoken with him?
I spoke, I'm a little bit out of order, but I spoke to him on Tuesday. I even tried
This week?
Facebook
This week?
to contact him. I'm not proud. I'll use any means I can. But typically, when we send a notice of violation, And I've been here since September, and this is my first presentation. Most of my cases get resolved. I
Right.
do everything I can to work with the property owner. But Mr. Clower waited until 2 days before the hearing,
Right.
long after receiving his notice of violation.
Sure.
Uh,
All right, so just so Mr. Alford is the tenant?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Alford is the tenant, and you have actually met with him?
Yes,
That's when you suggested the remedy, okay,
yes, sir.
all right. Well, obviously.
And on my
we have to
initial
deal
talk with
the
Mr.
owner.
Alford, I told him, I said, you know, with the condition of the property, I'm obligated, you know, to contact the owner. If it were my property, whether I live across town or out of state, I would want to know the condition of this property. So I sent Mr. Clower the notice of violation, waited to hear a response, went back and checked the property multiple times, and then finally, on
Was that return receipt the one that you sent in the letter you sent in March, that's the return receipt from Mr. Clower?
yes, sir.
Okay, all right, just wanna make sure.
And that was the notice of hearing. June 20th, I sent Mr. Clower a notice of hearing,
Okay,
and the letter is on the left, the signed receipt is on the right that I received on June 28th.
okay, but in the previous screen, you had another, the notice of violation, you said that was in March, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that return receipt was also signed by Mr. Clower?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm asking these questions, I just wanna make sure I understand, and the names, because to my knowledge, we don't have any recourse against the tenant. It's-
No, sir. No, I mentioned him because he was the only person that I was able to physically have contact with and
Right,
try to
okay.
work with to gain
All right,
compliance.
well, okay, I think I'm done interrupting you, so
Okay.
sorry about that. Go
No, that's-
ahead.
And,
I have a question while you're thinking.
yes, sir.
Your contact with Mr. Clower was first on June 28th? Is that when you first sent the letter to him?
That was when, on June 28th is when I got the signed receipt back
Receipt.
of the hearing.
And when did you first speak to him?
Tuesday. He called Tuesday.
He called you on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
But you had an initial, letter to him March 20th.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. March 20th, and I got the return receipt on March 27th. Today, I went out to show you the current conditions on the left. Again, you see the trailer still with junk outside of the fence area. Another, I believe that to be his vehicle. The junk vehicle that we had noted before is still in the same place, still full of garbage. He's added another trailer outside now. The photo on the right shows the gate area, and I don't understand how people can just toss their junk, but again, nothing has changed inside of
Okay.
it as far as the junk and debris.
All right,
Welcome to Walton County.
Do you have the recommendation?
Yes, sir. My recommendations, I would ask that the board determine that the address 553 Majestic Boulevard is located within the unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to Chapter 12 of the Walton County Land Development Code. Further, I'd ask that a violation of the Walton County Land Development Code sections 05.07.08B and section 05.07.08C do exist on the property, that the proper notice of the hearing was given to the respondent, that the respondent is to correct the violations within 30 days of the date of this order, and that the respondent is further ordered to contact the Walton County Code Enforcement Department to arrange for a reinspection of the subject property to verify compliance with this order. And finally, that if the respondent fails to comply with the above actions or fails to bring the property into compliance with the applicable codes, ordinances, and regulations according to this order, the board assesses a fine of $250 a day until the property is brought into compliance.
Officer Lynch, I would like it to be made part of the record. And I think I failed to do that for Ms. Riker.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I thought that was automatic, it's not, so,
It's not, so if you will go back and accept Ms. Riker's presentation for the previous case and Mr. Lynch's as well.
okay, I got you. That's all right, so, okay,
Discussion.
that's not a motion, we just need to
No.
accept it, right? So you're staying it, so it's done,
Yeah.
okay. All right, anything further, Officer Lynch?
For this case, no, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you talked to Mr. Closer, I'm not sure exactly.
Clower? Yes, sir.
What kind of attitude did he have? I mean, be honest.
I'm trying to be PC.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Clower felt that Walton County should not have the authority to tell somebody what they should do with their own property. He felt, and he said, that he can't do anything 2 days before a hearing, and this is an extreme inconvenience for him. But that was his general attitude. My recommendation for 30 days is based on there is much work to be done. I don't take things personally. There's a lot of work to be done, even though 3 months have gone by without any real progress. I feel that the board, in issuing this order, will get his attention, and that's the best I can hope for.
Okay. So the only communication you've had with Mr. Clower, the owner, is that March 20th letter, notice of violation, the return receipt from that notice of violation on
No,
the
the
20.
conversation 2 days ago.
Wait a minute, I know, I'm getting there. And then since that point, or after that point, this conversation 2 days ago, is that correct?
I did.
Was there anything in between?
The only thing that was in between was a Facebook correspondence where I found him on Facebook and sent a instant message advising him that I work for Walton County Code Enforcement. I'd like to speak to him about his property. When he got that, he had nothing to correspond about. He had nothing to say.
So you did not receive a response to that either? I don't
No,
know,
sir.
is Facebook a legal
Yeah, it's a contract.
form of communication?
I
I
try to
guess
give,
it's like email. isn't it?
yeah, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and
Alright.
he
I was
signed.
I was just curious if that was, I thought I'd understood that to be the case, and I remember you now saying the Facebook, but I just wanted to clarify, if that was the only times he had been in
Yes, sir.
communication.
Up
And
until
the
Tuesday.
only other communication was with Mr. Alford in person.
Yes, sir, Mr. Alford. He was the only other
That's
person.
it,
I
okay.
guess that's a new.
All right, that's my.
Couple of quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Majestic Boulevard, just for the record, is a public road,
Yes, sir.
and you were standing in public road or public right of way
County
when
right
you
of way.
made those,
Those photos, yes, sir.
when you made those pictures.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, because we had a case not long ago where it was an issue of whether or not it could be viewed from public,
As in an
Right of
easement.
way. and this one definitely is in view of public.
Yes, sir. This is a county-maintained road.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I move we accept
Jack?
the recommendation from the code enforcement officer.
All right, can I have anybody else have any questions? All right, I'm gonna close the public, comment portion of this, for this case, and, ask for a motion, which,
I move we
Harrison,
accept
all right,
Officer
sir.
Lynch's recommendation.
Second.
okay, you have a motion and a second that, Officer Lynch's, findings of fact and proposed recommendation are accepted, and I call question, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. And do we need to go back to Officer Reichert's thing now and do something to correct that, or you wanna do anything else?
All you do is just state for the record that you've accepted her presentation as
All right.
evidence.
Then, so stated, we accept Officer Reichert's finding of fact and propose, or her report, I guess, right, for case number 17-3382. And to the public record.
And
All right.
Chairman, if I could we take a 5-minute conflict break?
Go ahead. All right, we're gonna, I'm sorry, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, for anyone that needs it.
So the Chinese place in the new Publix at Freeport's pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
The what?
Chinese place.
I mean, it's
Freeport?
not, it's not,
Better than the other Chinese.
for what we have around here, it'll stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all relative to what you compare it to.
I know,
It was a sight
Oh, really?
better over JB's, I can tell you that.
Really?
JB's
I went
and
in there either.
the Definiak Spring,
I don't go there.
the,
Well, they're rebuilding it, actually. That's the old Horns restaurant. That's an original Horns, that building.
at 90 and 330.
3031, that's an original Horns.
What are they building there?
JB Buffet went back in again.
Oh, did?
Guy must be making money.
Oh,
Put some
Horns.
money in it. I'm glad he did.
Horns. What was the other one that you always saw on the highways, like the state and federal highways or so?
Horns and there's
Stuckey's, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, they were,
Pecan roll.
They used to sell fireworks and,
I like a pecan.
when nobody sold fireworks.
Mm-hmm,
Had those little balls that you throw on the sidewalk.
yes.
Oh, the things we did, we can't do anymore.
It's weird. Get those little pellets, they make marks on your legs, throw them at each other. No wonder we survived.
Sorry, guys, I've been sitting out in the parking lot for 20 minutes. I didn't realize y'all started at 5, so. I just-
They called me and told me I wasn't
All
enough.
right.
I just missed it somewhere. I don't even pay, I wasn't paying attention because we've done 6 o'clock forever.
If we don't start at 5 next time, I'll move and we go back to 6 o'clock.
5's good.
No, I mean, everybody, we just need to make sure everybody knows they're at 5, but are you okay with 5?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay
everybody
with
here?
As long
Are
as
you,
Yeah, I just gotta get used to the idea.
Well, I know.
I didn't realize it was gonna be, of course, I was the first one to miss the
Are we
meeting.
gonna pause for something?
Yes, we are in a pause for a very good reason.
Mhm.
We're talking about Chinese food. We went from Jamaican or Caribbean to Lebanese to Chinese. Do you have any preferences? We have some good Italian places. Plenty of good Italian places. But I might just run up to Freeport since I'm halfway.
That's not a bad deal, I'm telling you, for the price. It's almost not worth cooking.
You go up there for dinner?
I've got it, I'm taking my wife, she doesn't like it, cause we didn't spend 30 a meal, you know?
Right.
If I would've,
I go to the 28th time when I have a hankering for vegetables on the place. 28th, I think.
you know that, the Freeport Cafe?
Cafe
Oysters?
20.
They got great oysters, if you just want fried oysters,
Yeah,
they're great.
that's the one on the north side of
Yeah,
20.
that little cafe,
At the
the fried
corner?
oysters. When
Have
they're
another
fried-
filling station kind of building.
Yep, believe it or not, that thing's been there so long.
Mm. Cafe 20,
Is that a violation picture?
Yeah, that's the newer one.
Cafe 20's on the other side, down a little bit.
Yeah, that's newer.
They got vegetables, cabbage.
All right, we, ready to reconvene. Am I good? Okay. Not a problem at all.
I think one time Freeport had like 5 restaurants.
All right, I'm gonna reconvene and call the meeting back to order, and next presentation apparently is by Officer Lynch as well. Okay?
Yes, sir. Again, I'm Code Enforcement Officer Michael Nitz for the record, and I've submitted my final report for the record. This next case is case number 18-001366. This involves The property of Mr. Abraham Hassan, located at 12 Grand Point Drive South. The land use for this property is neighborhood infill, and the code violation that we're going to be discussing is 11.04.02 building permits. There's a little response latency in this. There we go. This property, if you're familiar with the Inlet Beach area, is in the Grand Point development on the north side of 98. We had multiple complaints in this neighborhood back in April, and subsequent to my investigation of a parcel that was further down the street, I observed construction going on, and this was on April 4th of this year. I made contact with the owner, Mr. Abraham Hassan, and inquired whether he had a building permit, and you'll see in the next slide or so what I saw. Above the garage, there appeared to be a cantilevered roof being constructed. Mr. Hassan advised me that he had spoken to somebody in planning, but he couldn't remember who it was, and he couldn't remember what they looked like, but they told him that if it was his property and he was doing the construction, and if it was 10 feet off the road, he didn't need a permit. That sounded suspect to me. I couldn't imagine anybody making any comment like that, so I came back, checked with the planning department, checked with Linda Alford with building, and that was not the case. The section of the code that I'm citing is 11.0402 building permits, and specifically A, where it says generally no erection, altercation, or reconstruction of any building or structure shall be commenced without first obtaining a building permit from the building official. And this is on the left. Because I didn't have a previous picture, I used Google Earth from the street view. And what you can see is above the garage, you have a banister or railing going around a small balcony, like a sun area. The photo on the right is what I observed on the date that I initially spoke to Mr. Hassan. He had some sort of a support structure to support the roof. It didn't look safe to me. It didn't look like any construction that I had ever seen. But in checking with the building department and showing Ms. Alford this photo, she said this is something that we definitely have to have a permit. He has to go through the process with the planning department. And so I explained this to Mr. Hassan. He continued working. He was actually working very quickly and near completion. So on April 20th, which was approximately 2 weeks later, I prepared a notice of violation and sent to Mr. Hassan. Mr. Hassan lives out of state in Tennessee, but the letter that was sent is on the right, and then the signed receipt for that notice of violation is on the left. I went back and checked after sending that, and the roof, the structure had been completed. And again, Mr. Hassan was dragging his heels. I think he thought that as long as he got the work finished first, he wasn't going to be required to get the permit. I notified him and told him, I said, well, I'm going to schedule you for a hearing for this matter because you absolutely have to have a permit. And he made no attempts to get a permit until much later.
So that, again, what's the date on this one, on the hearing, notice of hearing?
The notice of hearing was sent out, I believe on the 6th, or no, May 16th.
So we have the notice of violation in April and notice of hearing approximately a month later, both of which he did sign the return receipt.
Yes, sir. Both notices were signed. I received the signed notice of hearing on May 30th. And since then, he still has not obtained a permit. And I've dealt with other contractors and people that have put the cart before the horse. It is much harder to get an engineer and survey and everything after the fact because nobody wants to sign their name to work that somebody else has done. So I think that he had to shop around and find an engineer, which eventually, my understanding through Stephanie Manning with the planning department is that he's got somebody, but he still has not completed his packet that can then go forward to the building department. So he is still without permits.
Did you say that this is, and I couldn't tell from the picture for sure, but this is an exterior space, it's a covered balcony? Is it just an outdoor?
Yes, sir.
But I mean, it's open air, I guess.
It's open air, and what he's done is taken what was open to the sky, and he's now covered that with a roof. He's put some sort of a drain system in that goes through his garage, and then
Okay.
no.
Leaks all over.
What was that structure underneath the roof that you saw in the picture that was, or was that just canvas or something?
That was support structures that he had erected. And again, I had no idea.
Is it still there?
No, sir. It is all gone. So basically, you have the garage now with a roof over that structure. Mr. Hassan contacted me day before yesterday, on Tuesday as well, and said, well, I'm in Tennessee. I can't see coming down, for 20 minutes. He says, I'm in the process. Can you give me another 30 days? And I said, sir, you've had well over that. I will let the board decide, and whatever improvement period that they decide, I'm okay with. And if you get your permit in that time, then you're going to be good. So by his absence here today, that just more or less tells me that this isn't a priority for him.
So he essentially said he's in Tennessee, he has no intention of coming down for
Yes,
this
sir.
hearing, okay.
But he did that work himself?
He was, yes, he did that, and he had another gentleman working with him, but we had 18 complaints
Yeah.
out in the Grand Point area.
You have a picture of what it looks like?
On this, or 18 different ones?
No, 18 different parcels.
Okay.
I had observed this actually looking at another parcel that we had a complaint on 2 or 3 doors down.
Okay.
Do you have a photograph of what it looks like now?
No, sir, I don't. I apologize for that. The last time that I was out there, it was totally finished, and unfortunately, I was checking on another process or parcel, and didn't have the presence of mind to snap a picture of it finished.
But it's open air?
Yes, sir.
No walls, it's open air?
No walls, no windows, just a covered balcony above the garage.
Did you observe any hurricane clips?
No, sir, and that's the thing is, until we have a building permit, the building department will not inspect it.
Right.
So we don't know if it meets code, I mean the building code, and of course any
Well,
violations.
that's what's comes out in the permitting process. So just the fact, that he doesn't have the permit or is not attempted to obtain a permit is the key issue here, so. But, all right.
Yes, sir.
Did you got anything else?
Close it, discussion.
If you may, I would ask that the board determine that the address of 12 Grand Point South is located within the unincorporated area of Walton County, and is subject to Chapter 12 of the Walton County Land Development Code, that a violation of Walton County Land Development Code Section 11.0402 does exist on the property, that the proper notice of hearing was given to the respondent, that the respondent is to correct the violation within 30 days of the date of this order, and that the respondent is further ordered to contact the Walton County Code Enforcement Department to arrange for a reinspection of the subject property to verify compliance with this order, and that if the respondent fails to comply with the above sections or fails to bring the property into compliance with the applicable codes, ordinances, and regulations according to this order, the board assesses a fine of $250 a day until the property is brought into compliance.
Okay, so the only, I guess, from what I see, the way to come into compliance is he has to get a permit or he has to disassemble this addition.
And
The-
Director Carpenter might be able to shed better light. My understanding is that as soon as he actually obtains the permit, is what we're saying that he doesn't have, then this violation in itself would cease.
Right, that's what.
If there is a issue with what the work that he's done, will be an issue for the building inspector and the building department to take up.
Mm-hmm. Right, which therein lies my not concern, I guess a little bit of concern just with the 30 days, because I mean I'd be inclined to give him some time period to at least come in and apply for the permit.
He's made application.
Oh, he has?
It's a partial application. When they come into the planning department, they're supposed to have everything that they need.
Mm-hmm.
In talking with Stephanie Manning, she told me that they still require an elevation sketch and a survey. There's several documents that he hasn't given them yet. So she doesn't have a full packet to approve it or not, and then go before the building department for their permit.
Okay.
It's much harder putting the cart before the horse.
Oh, well, absolutely. And expensive too. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Lynch? Okay. All right. In that case, I will close any further public comments. We will accept Officer Lynch's presentation into the official record and open for any discussion, any further discussion or questions, or well, we've already closed that.
Seems like this guy had an intent to
Have you closed discussion on the floor?
Yeah.
Well, we can still, I think we can still question it, but it's just if you got, the board has any questions for Officer Lynch, let's go.
Did you think this fellow had any intent to follow the law, the code? At all?
I hate to take a position
Well,
on what somebody else's. I don't think I can say what somebody else's intent. My feeling is that if it had gone up and nobody noticed, and no harm, no foul, nobody would have ever known until maybe we had a hurricane and the top blew off. But as to his intent, I can't speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he was aware of the need for a building permit or no?
I'm retired law enforcement. I have a
He's-
particular meter that I can sense when somebody's pulling my leg.
So what'd your meter say?
It was in the red.
Well, he's doing his own construction, so I'm sure he had some experience in construction, so I'm sure he knew that he was supposed to have a
Yeah, it
building
goes on
permit.
all the time. I always shudder to think all the ones that aren't caught.
I'm
but-
ready for a motion.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. let's
Recommend
get a
and
motion.
accept the code officer's recommendations.
I'll say.
All right, we got a motion and a second to accept the recommendation by Officer Lynch. I have one point of discussion. As far as going back to my issue with giving him so he has or has not actually completed, he has not completed the application, but you said he started it.
Yes,
So he just has not come in and met with the building inspector to put the application in.
he can't even get to that point yet because he doesn't have all the materials for the planning department.
All right. So,
Well, let me say this, I'm not gonna amend my motion for 30 days, so unless we need to get a vote on that
Well-
first, if you wanna make another motion.
well, yeah,
Well,
but
we're
this is
still
what we're
discussing
discussing,
it.
and we're still discussing it. I mean, what I'm unclear about is, okay, if he can get his application together within 30 days, that still doesn't bring him into compliance, or 50, whatever it is. I mean,
This is
he
gonna
might,
drag on for about a year.
he might need, well, I know, certainly wouldn't have proposed giving him a year. All I'm bringing up is, do we need to have maybe a two-part motion here where he gets completes the application process within one time period, and give him another however long to actually meet the terms of the conditions of the building permit? Is that?
Well, I'm not gonna amend my motion, so
Okay, well,
It's-
I'll call a question when we do this discussing.
That's a good
I'm
motion.
discussing it right now.
That's a good motion.
Is it possible for us to fine him immediately? In other words, can we assess a fine
That's what,
and then give him 30 days to complete the rest of the things, or no? Can
Yeah.
we do no fine?
Let's let attorney.
So to answer your question, Mr. Sullivan, no, you guys have to give him a compliance date. But I was gonna say, as far as staff is concerned, I think we would prefer that you not make it a two-part solution.
Okay.
Mainly because there's things outside of the respondent's control within the planning department that may take some time to approve the
Mhm.
building permit. So we would just request that the cure would be that he obtain a building permit.
All right, I can respect that. So he would have whatever the time is. 30 days was a recommendation to not only apply, but actually,
Obtain the permit.
obtain the permit, okay.
well, keep in mind too, that if he came to us 30 days from now at the next meeting and said that he had applied for all this and he's in the process, then we could always amend our motion.
Okay,
for this
but he doesn't, if he obtains the permit, he's in compliance. He doesn't necessarily have to do whatever else the permit has to, like the hurricane clips and that kind of stuff.
Well, he's not gonna get a permit, well, true, yeah.
He still has time after, he just has to obtain the permit. Okay, I got you. All right, I'm good. All right, I'm done. We got a motion and a second to accept Officer Lynch's recommendation. We got, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Good job, Michael.
Thank you. We have any other business?
Move we adjourn.
Let's adjourn. All right, have a motion to adjourn. Thank you, folks.
5 o'clock.
thank you, folks.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.